Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. This is the State Road Race Championships held at Fort Ord near Monterey, California. I am working for my teammate Tom Caesar, who you see right in front of me. There's about 20 people in this race, and this is the 60-64 age group. These old guys are fast, and a couple of the fastest in here are Morgan Stanley's Steve Archer and Team Specialized Robert Anderson. And I remember Robert from when he was on the USPS Masters racing team. Boy, that was some years back. So I figure these two guys are going to be watching each other, and most everybody's going to be watching those two guys. So from what I'm aware of, Tom and I and a two-man team from 3 Foot are the only people with 2 people on a team. Everyone else here, I believe, is individuals. I think Penn Velo may have some riders in here. We are doing 11 4.3-mile laps. Now, until this year, the finish line was on top of a small hill at the bottom of a real nasty descent. And that has been moved because there's been a veteran cemetery that's been built on that site, or near that site. So where they moved it is on top of a small 6% hill, and actually I like this finish a lot better. So what I'm going to show you right now is what this first lap looks like. So we started at the finish line, which is again on top of that 6% hill, and it goes flat a little bit, and then does a little 1% thing, and then it drops down right what we're doing now to the bottom of the roller section, and the roller section is the tough section. Now today the roller section has a headwind on it, and we have a little bit of a tailwind on the flat section, on what I'll call the flat section. The flat section, which is about 2 miles long, has a lot of flats in it, but has also a number of low-grade small climbs. Now we are on the first roller, and this first roller is what I call a double roller, because we're heading up, and then it will flatten out a little bit, and then it'll kick up again before we descend. And I believe there's about 4 rollers in total here. And this is a tough section. So with the wind that we have, and it wasn't a great amount of wind, but there was enough wind to keep the strong climbers at bay where I can hide behind them. And it worked out nicely for me for most of the race. The thing that I did not want to do on this section was get disconnected, because if I get disconnected by a little bit and I'm chasing over the top of the roller on the descent, I would have to push a huge amount of wattage just to be able to reconnect with them, and then the next roller is going to start and put me under stress again. So if you're looking at the wattage at the lower left hand corner, you'll see it varying all the way up to into the 500s. So this is not easy. It may look easy, but it's not easy. If I'm doing this on someone's wheel into a slight headwind, just think what the guy in front is doing. And who is that guy? Morgan Stanley's Steve Archer. And who's the guy behind him? Team Specialized Robert Anderson, the 2 guys I told you about. Now, these guys are doing a lot of work, especially Steve, but they're strong, they know they're strong, and they're confident. All the rest of us are happy that they're at the front, and we're just sucking their wheel. The roller section and the gnarly descent that follows it is about 2+ miles long. And now we're on the second roller. So you see that again the wattage is kicking up there, 300, 400. I was also doing 500 on this particular roller. And just following the wheels. Now you'll notice that most of the time I'm toward the front. The reason I'm toward the front is in case I need to fall back when things get tough and I can't keep up with them, in hopes that when I'm able to keep up with them, I'm still connected at least with the back of the group, so I can work my way back up. Another reason to stay toward the front is another form of survival. So while I'm at the front, usually most of the time during the races, there are 2 critical areas where I make sure that I am at the front, or actually toward the front. And the first one is what we've already seen, that sharp right-hand turn that leads into the start of the roller section. Reason being, in past years, I can remember being toward the back on that, and the guys in the front are punching it through there, and not necessarily punching it through there, but just keeping up a strong pace. With the pack being lined out like that, the further one is toward the back of that line, then the faster one has to go, or the longer time one has to keep up a high rate of speed just to get back when the pack starts to bunch up so they can be protected from the wind on that climb. After that happened to me a couple times a couple years ago, I always made sure not to be in that position again. The second situation, when I want to be toward the front, is getting ready to drop down on that gnarly descent. And speaking of that gnarly descent, we are now starting the last roller. Over the top of that last roller, we start to set up for that gnarly descent. This is where riders who are not happy with their position and have the legs will try and move up on the pack toward the top so they can get in that good position, so they can feel safe going over the top. And so here we have the situation. On the left side we have an attack, looks like an attack. Steve Archer goes to cover it, gets on the guy's wheel, and the guy now is happy to be at the front because that's where he wanted to be. So when he goes down on that descent, he can enter that tight right and then take that almost immediate left curve at a speed that he's comfortable with. Even though this is a tight right that starts off this gnarly descent, you really don't have to scrub off a lot of speed, but being the old guys that we are, we're scrubbing a little more speed than we need to. Now, as soon as we take that right turn, we're starting to set up for that left curve, and that left curve can throw you to the outside if you're not careful. It may not look like it here, but this is rough pavement, and you don't want to go sliding across it. I had one teammate a few years back that crashed right on that curve, and he just about broke his patella. It took him quite a while to get recovered from that. So, now we're going down pretty straight. The roads seem like they're flat, but you have to watch some sections, especially on the left side. There's a lot of undulations that are hidden that they used to point out with chalk markings. And so there seemed to be fewer chalk markings, and you'll notice that a lot of us are toward the right side. Now, with the comment I made earlier, we being old guys are a pretty safe group. In fact, the whole race was safe except for one unsafe move that I'm aware of, and that was made by me. I was in the middle on the outside of the pack, and I needed to get toward the front for this particular situation. And I shot out to the right, and I didn't realize, and I didn't look to see if there was a rider behind me toward the right, and there was. Once I did that, I got yelled at, and appropriately so. So Doug, if you're out there watching this, my apologies, my bad. We have completed the gnarly downhill section and the run into the what used to be final turn before the finish. So we're taking the turn, and you'll notice on the right hand side that we're going to come across the Veteran Cemetery. At the top of the small climb is the old finish. After this starts the 2-mile flat section, or mostly flat section. It is here where I start to think about tactics. Now, last thing I want to do is ride around for 10 more laps, riding wheels, and then try to go for a sprint at the end. I'm not a sprinter. My teammate Tom is not a sprinter, although he can hold a high rate of speed, and it'll be almost as if he is sprinting. Fast forward to the beginning of the next roller section. Remember the previous part of the video where I talked about getting in good position? Right now I'm right behind Steve Archer. Heading into that turn, and then I'm just staying right on his wheel. He can, if he wanted to, just pull away from me. And in fact, I'm having to do over 600 watts just to stay on his wheel. He's just keeping this up, and fortunately my legs are strong enough where I can keep up with him. I don't know what's happening behind me. I would imagine everybody's lined out right now. He's now starting to go faster. It's starting to hurt a little more. I'm starting to have to punch over 700 watts just to stay up with him. And now that's getting tough. I'm still there, but if he keeps this up, I'm going to have to let him go. He's keeping this up. I'm still there. He's slowing just a bit, thank goodness. If I could just make it over the top of this one, and if he just lets up a little bit, then I'll be okay. I've been moving between 350 and 550 watts, and oh boy, now he's taken off. Now my main focus is being able to hang on to the pack when they go by. There goes Robert Anderson, and there goes my teammate Tom, being very attentive. Excellent. So now I don't have to worry about trying to get on their wheel, so I'm just kind of hanging back and hoping that they form a break where the three of them go away, where we will be guaranteed a podium position. None of the others want to see this happen, so they're all lined out chasing, so I'm looking for my spot where I can get back in and settle in behind somebody, keeping out of the wind. There, I survived this one. Having survived the roller section, we're back now on the flats. Ah, it looks like someone else has a similar idea to me. He's taking off. Now I've been at the front for a little bit, so there's no way I'm chasing him down, although it does look tempting. As I'm about to pull off, I look behind me and I see Tom behind me. So I know that if I pull off, he's going to go ahead and chase him, and I don't want Tom to chase him. I want Tom to rest. I'm the one that should be doing this extra work. So chase him I do. Not in a panic maniacal fashion, but just nice and steady till I get on his wheel. Little did I know when I started chasing that teammate Tom let a gap open up, and so I was actually bridging up to this guy solo, and after the connection we each took a good strong pull, but soon after the pack who had considered this a dangerous move was on us. Fast forward about a lap and a half later, and I'm chasing a guy who took a little flyer on the descent leading into the roller section. So he's doing pretty much what I would have done, punch it at the start, go over to the right, and grab a wheel as it goes by. If that was Steve Archer or Robert Anderson or one of the other very strong climbers in our pack, then they could have just punched it and kept on going. For now, I'm just looking at keeping it steady and getting to the top with the rest of the pack, hoping that no one attacks, and if they do, I'll get on their wheel as quickly as I can, if possible. So far, so good. No challenges. I'm just about to the middle flat section of this first double roller. No one's come by yet. If I'm lucky, I'll make it to the top, slow up, veer over to the right, and wait to get on a wheel as the rest of them go by me. All of a sudden, there's an attack by my teammate Tom. Not the classical jump and spew your guts out to get some distance, but more of a slow, steady, roll off the front kind of attack. The others are starting to look. They're not jumping after him, but they're starting to look. And that's Robert Anderson at the front. So I'm staying near the front so I could do whatever I can, although I've been doing like over 450 watts as he was rolling off. And for those of you out there thinking, well, 450 watts is not bad, these are 450 old guy watts. Keep that in mind. So now Steve Archer is up here, and he's making sure that Anderson doesn't go away. So we're all just kind of bunched together. All of a sudden, the guy on the left there next to Anderson says, you know, that guy out there is pretty good. You probably want to go with him. So I go up to Steve and I say, that's the guy you want to be on a break with. All of a sudden, Steve jumps away from the rest of us. Many of the strong riders are jumping after him. I'm just trying to find a wheel that I can hang on to. And a lot of people are starting to go past me. So I'm hoping that they're all strung out so then I can get on that wheel as I get over the top. Haven't gotten on the wheel yet. They're still going by me. There's not a lot of people left. I'm the last one now. So now I'm just struggling, doing over 400 and hoping that they slow down just a bit. So I'm able to get on and survive at this point. Fast forward to roller number 3, and you can see on the far right there, that small figure there, well, that's Tom, and he's been caught. Fast forward again to the Veteran Cemetery Hill, and we see that Tom had put in another little dig and was being caught. So this was my opportunity. The front of the pack, which has caught Tom, is starting to slow up. The back of the pack that had split out that's now catching up is settling in behind the front pack. I then attack toward the top of the hill, and my main objective is to get as big a gap as quickly as I can. Fast forward for about 3 minutes, and I'm still out in front solo. I'm starting the 4 to 6% climb that goes to the start-finish line. Every so often I would turn behind me and check my progress. Sometimes the chase would be focused and they'd be making up ground, and other times they'd be bunched up and I'd be gaining ground. Going up this climb has slowed me up. I of course want to go faster, but I'm pretty sure it's going to slow up the rest of them too. All I'm doing is concentrating on keeping a high RPM and keeping my momentum going, not slowing down, and not being demotivated by this climb. Because it doesn't happen to me very often, it felt pretty good crossing this line in the lead. Fast forward again, I'm heading into the bottom of the roller section, solo and in the lead. I get to take this at speed, and I use the whole road as I go across. So again, I slow up on this section, but I know just to keep my momentum going. I also know that I may get caught on this section. I therefore have to be attentive. And I can either look back or I can listen. And on this section, listening is good enough for me. All that being stated, I want to get to the top before they get to me. Or at least I want to get to that middle section of this double roller before they get to me. Nice. I made it to that middle section. Now I'm starting on the last section. Maybe I'll make it to the top before they get to me. All of a sudden, I hear something. I've been doing over 500 watts, and these guys ride past me like I'm standing still. Anderson is leading, and Archer is trailing the initial selection, as the rest of the group, which is scattered, comes up behind him. Fortunately, my teammate Tom is there. My main priority right now? Hang on to the back of the pack until things settle down, and I can get my lungs back. Once we go over the top, if there's just even 1 second more distance between me and the pack than there should be, I'm going to get dropped. So now I'm struggling and working to get back on. And fortunately, I get connected to them as they slow up on the next climb, although they don't slow up much. Fast forward again, and we just started the 4 to 6% climb of this finishing start-finish climb. I always consider this climb a good attack point. Since the opportunity presented itself, I again attacked. Now about 5 seconds into this attack, I'm thinking, I could have used a little more rest. And then I was also thinking, this climb seems a little longer than I thought it was. Nonetheless, I got to put everything into it. There are a couple main reasons why I'm doing these attacks. One, I'm hoping that someone or a small group bridge up to me so we have a better chance of surviving to the finish. Two, to give my teammate Tom a rest by just sitting in and not having to attack himself. The reason I attacked this lap is because on the previous lap they had chased me down for my solo effort and then humped it through the roller section, and therefore looked like they were conserving energy. I gotta tell you, when I cross the start-finish line, I'm thinking, these guys think I've been out for well over a lap. How cool is that? I don't know if you can tell, but in the distance I see another opportunity. This is another race group on the course. This may be the 70 plus, 65 plus, or 75 plus, I don't know. But the opportunity is that if I can get around them before I hit the start of the climb, then it may confuse the ones in back of me for just a few seconds and give me just a little bit of time. I don't know if anybody's bridging up to me. I'm thinking that they're not. So I'm thinking that again I have to get to the top of that first double roller climb in order to survive. I'm putting in what extra few watts that I can to chase these guys down, then get around them. And get around them I do, just before the start of the next roller section. One of the riders of this small pack I used to race with years ago. Not on the same team, but we ran in the same circles. Real good guy. I forget his last name. First name is Mike, and he's with Hammer Nutrition. Shout out to you, Mike. It's been a lot of years. I take this at 25 miles an hour, use all the road, and then use all the power that I can to get to the top before they get me. Again, I'm hoping for a small group that I can attach to and have a breakaway with, but I can't count on that. So I'm putting everything I can into this. And I notice that the wattages are now in the 400s for my high, and rarely going into the 500s, if at all. I'm starting to get tired. Fast forward a little bit, I'm at the top of the roller. And here comes the group. But actually it's a small breakaway led by Anderson, and Archer's not there. I should be getting on the back of these guys. But after 2 big attacks, the power is starting to ebb out of my body. Still, I gotta get there, so I'm trying. And in case the rest of them are behind me, I gotta get my teammate Tom up there. As it turned out, I did make the connection. I don't know what's going on behind me, and I certainly don't have the energy to turn around and take a look and still stay on these guys' wheels. So I'm just concentrating, focusing on being connected. Fast forward again a little bit, my teammate Tom comes by. So I figure the rest of the pack is behind us. We jump ahead to the next roller section. The guy in front of me is taking us even faster than what I was doing before, and I'm staying right on his wheel. Since I'm doing less than 400 watts, I'm starting to take stock of my situation. I'm feeling good enough, and as long as this guy keeps it steady and everyone else keeps it steady, I should make it over the top and make it through the rest of the rollers with them. If I am able to survive this roller section and no emergencies come up, I should be able to rally my energy for one more key move, in the form of another breakaway or something to do to help Tom. All of a sudden, Steve Archer attacks on the far left side. Guy goes with him. That's not Anderson. Anderson's somewhere there. There's Anderson. Everyone's picking it up. I don't have a lot of energy for this, so I'm doing what I can. I see riders slowly go past me. I need to get over the top. I need to stay connected. I don't need a big gap happening. There's another guy that's going on. Maybe I can get onto his wheel. The gap is not big. I'm right there. I can best make the connection as long as there's no more distance that's put on. Unfortunately for me, at the front, they're still chasing down the Steve Archer attack, which means they're still going fast. And so that means what you're seeing right here. The gap is getting bigger and bigger. Now, I'm chasing. I'm tired. We're going downhill, but still, these guys are going fast. So I'm hoping that they slow up at the climb or at the top of the climb where I can make the connection. And they're still lined out. Hoping that they slow up at the top of the climb, I put everything that I have left, or most everything I have left, into this effort. I'm out of the saddle and I'm trying to chase these guys down. The motor goes by, and that always sucks in these situations. Looking at the wattage, I have nothing left to give for this effort. So I go to plan B. Plan B is getting my legs under me and chasing them down. I know I can do this. Fast forward to the flat section, I can see them ahead of me. I just got to keep it steady. I got to keep the power on. I'm getting tired, but I know I can do this. And they're getting closer. I'm heading toward the start of the roller section. I see them up ahead. I know I can do this. I just took the turn and starting up the first roller. They're up ahead. I know I can do this. I can almost touch them. I'm doing this. Oops. Lights out. I'm not doing this. I reached my limit. With a little over 4.5 laps to go, it was now up to Tom. So I settled into an endurance pace to get some more miles in, and I figured with 2 laps to go when it's on their final lap, I'll go find a nice vantage point and video the finish. As it turns out, with 2 laps to go on the roller section, Tom reached his limit. He started cramping and had to back off. All of his training, primarily due to work and family obligations that he's been doing up until this point, have been about 1 hour, sometimes 2-hour efforts, albeit strong efforts. All in all, for me, this was a good day. It has been a while since I've been this functional for my teammates. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.